Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace, healing, and light. And welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. And if you are new to the show, welcome, 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 beautiful souls. On today's episode, I have an amazing guest joining us today, my brother Demetrius X, as we'll be discussing today's topic, everyday relationships, strengthening daily bonds with self, God, and others. Brother Demetrius, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Thank you, dear sister. Assalamu alaikum, and all is well. Um, Beginning all things as customary as a Muslim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you and all of those tuned in with the greeting words of peace and paradise in our original tongue of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, dear brother. Wa alaikum salam. Again, thank you again for joining me today. Now, I know there are some that do know you, but for those who may not know who my brother is, do you mind letting our audience know just a little bit more about you?
I do not mind. First and foremost, I'm a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan under the teachings and guidance of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I've been registered in the Nation of Islam for a little over 3 years now. Um, I would also put at the top of that I'm just your brother. You know what I mean? And I have been in the ministry for maybe a little over, I think, 2 years now. So serving as an assistant student minister at Muhammad Mosque 57 of Norfolk, Virginia. Um, and some of you may or may not know me from the Master Call as well, which has been a online studying platform in the Nation of Islam that has had in my humble opinion, a great deal of success and received a lot of love and help bring a lot of people from different age ranges into the knowledge of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I've been blessed to be a co-host as part of that. And shout out to Sister Aneesa, our dear sister who started it. That's the most I would say. Yes, man.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. I love it, brother. Praise be to Allah. And I definitely missed the master call. Oh my God. It was so beautiful. You guys did such a great
man.
work. And it's still one thing about that, like with content like that, you can always re-listen to it. So you guys left some
Absolutely.
great impact and content with that. So praise be to Allah. And shout out to Sister
And
Aneesa. I love her.
yes, man. And
Yes,
then
yes, yes.
inshallah, there's something else coming as well, content wise. We want to send it off right. Um, can I say one more thing real quick, sister,
Yeah,
before we
go right
move
ahead.
on from the bio? Because when you asked me about sending the bio, which is something
Uh-huh.
I've never been good at, because I I'll be like, oh, I'm this and I'm that, but I know that they're necessary because the person who's listening or reading or whatever about the person wants to know, well, why should I listen or why should I pull from their mind, who is this person? And I was looking at what I sent you, and really I was like, me being a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is really all I need to be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
As far as attracting someone, if they want to listen to me or not. And anybody who is a student of that man who we say he is, who is a the Jesus in our midst, you know, is something that would have to speak for itself by how you represent it and how well studied you are. So anything that I have to say today, that's who you're listening to. That's who I'm getting it from as a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. We cannot leave that out. Plain and simple, you guys. Praise be to Allah. All right, now let's get started on today's episode. Everyday relationships, strengthening daily bonds with self, God, and others. And please, for my audience today, Do not hesitate to put any questions you may have that is in relation to today's topic, because sometimes, we don't get to see people and we just be adding different questions like, hold on, we're not talking about that. But it's okay. I know we get excited. So just please make sure you put your questions in the comment box that is in relation to today's topic for our guest, Brother Demetrius X, in the comment box below. So, in our busy lives, building and maintaining relationships can be tough, yet, these connections with God, ourselves, and others are vital for our happiness and well being. This episode aims to help you understand everyday relationships and to learn how to strengthen these daily bonds. And that brings me to my first question for you, Brother Demetrius. Now, I did also, those who asked my brother Demetrius questions on his post on Instagram, I did incorporate your questions on here as well. So just letting you guys know that. But my first question for you is to just get into the root of today's topic. What do everyday relationships look like for you?
For me, um, the relationship. Well, I mean, just to go in the order, because when you asked me to choose a title,
Mm-hmm.
I put them in that order intentionally because that's what it looks like for me, and I would say that that's probably what it looks like for everybody. Is starts with yourself, then it is yourself and God. They're coupled, and then it's your relationship with others. So every day, I have to establish, or I won't say establish, but I have to maintain that relationship with myself, that relationship with God. So as a Muslim, we start our day off with prayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm thinking about things that I have to do throughout the day, my intentions for the day, and calling on the God, strengthening the relationship with the God as soon as I wake up, to get guidance, to get help, to get his blessing. And inshallah, which means God willing in the Arabic language, I have a good relationship, or engagement with the people throughout the day. You know what I mean? When we talk about work or school, whatever stage you at, maybe you're self-employed, you're dealing with a lot of different clientele. um, those relationships basically either weaken or strengthen the other two, your
Mm-hmm.
relationship with yourself and your relationship with God. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the knowledge of God is akin to the knowledge of self. So those two, that's why I said they're coupled. And then the others, really, when we talk about the others not just meaning your friends and family. You know what I mean? Even the relationships that you don't necessarily desire to have, those relationships with enemies. You don't like them. You may not have ever thought about it that way. Like, I have a relationship with this person who hates me, who wants to see me do bad. But it was written that there's going to be those type of people in your life. So you have a relationship with them, whether you like it or not. But it's about how you handle it. You know what I mean? I hope I'm answering your question properly, because I don't
You
know if you
are.
meant like, okay. I don't know if you meant me personally, like what do my relationships look like? Because I could get into that, but I don't think that's what you want to hear. I don't want to get
Well,
too
if you
per.
want to, you know.
No, man. Well, I'll keep it general, but yeah. So how we handle those relationships throughout the day is kind of what I wanted to talk about. And that structure, that's what it looks like for me, as far as how all of our relationships go hand in hand.
Mhm. I love it. Praise be to Allah. I like I'm sorry if it's a brother or sister, do not charge my heart. But I love this comment. So I think those other relationships come as an opportunity to strengthen you.
Hmm.
and I can definitely bear
That's the
witness.
sister.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
my sister Queen.
uh,
Yeah.
okay, Queen. Okay, sorry, sis. But I love that comment. Praise be to Allah. Okay, so my next question is, and I love how you answered that. You kind of had me really thinking as far as, the way that you sent me the title and why everything is in alignments. I want to say, because I put it on here, hope I put it on here right, because I already messed your name up. Sorry.
No.
But we had self first,
Mm,
God, and
mm,
others,
mm.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, can we kind of break that down as to why self, then God, then others when strengthening your relationships daily?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I also want to put emphasis on everyday relationships,
Mhm.
because these are these are relationships that you have no choice but to deal with and to maintain every day. Every day, the first person you're going to wake up to is yourself and God, if you understand,
Mhm.
But um, self first, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Self first, the same way they tell you on the airplane, if the oxygen masks have to come down, to make sure you put yours on first before you try to help anybody else, because you're no good if you're pouring out of an empty cup, as we like to say, or
Mhm.
in that instance, if you're not much of a cup at all because you can't breathe. But self first, because the Minister Farrakhan, he taught us that you can't love anyone, including God,
Mhm.
more than you love yourself.
Ooh.
So I heard Brother Jabril Muhammad, whom Allah is pleased with, as our Imam Sultan Muhammad said. Um, Brother Jabril, for those who don't know, is also a minister who was taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was in the class when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was in the class. So they came up in this divine teaching together. Brother Jabril was saying that you love based on what you know,
Mm.
that your love is deepened based on knowledge. He was talking to some married couples in the audience when he was speaking, and he was asking them, did any of you get married just based off of a feeling that you have for each other, and you didn't get to know each other, basically? So the knowledge of yourself, which is what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us from God Himself, that allows us to love ourselves,
Mhm.
which is the most important, because you can give somebody everything they need to know about how to take care of themselves, but they won't necessarily do it if they don't see the value in themselves, and I could bear witness to that. You know what I mean? The minister, lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so the minister teaches us that love is duty, right? And that's the truth, 100%. But we can get it mixed up and think that just doing your duty by yourself, or to yourself, I should say, or keeping your duty to your family, keeping your duty to your nation, we can't separate that from what I believe is called agape love, which
Mm.
is the actual feeling. You know what I mean? Your emotional attachment or feeling for that person or that thing, that place. So it's one thing to do right by myself. I bathe every day. I'm making sure I'm well fed and all that, because I'm supposed to.
Mhm.
But if I don't really see the value in myself and have that agape love for myself, that agape love for my brothers, and sisters, that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has for us and has showed us throughout his entire life, then there's a component missing. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So that love of self, and I'm just going into self-love right now because I think that this is really what answers that question and allows everything else to be a domino effect. That love for self, when you study your history, when you study your being in the present, you know what I mean? When you start trying different things out, you're like, oh, okay, not only, am I good at this, I'm talented here, I know how to do this, so I'm pretty sharp at that. Oh, I'm kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like myself. You know what I mean? So, and then your duty to yourself becomes greater because of that love that you now have for yourself. You're getting to know yourself, you're spending time with yourself, and then you can turn to Allah, the
Mm-hmm.
creator, the one who made you, gave you all these gifts, and say, I love you even more now, because now I really see what you put into me, what you gave me in this wonderful creation for me to exercise my gifts in and my strengths in, you know what I mean, and live this life in. So it becomes a real friendship, as it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We want to be close to Allah, not in the way of, like, for lack of a better example, like a teacher's pet, but like a father and a child. You know what I mean? You want to aspire to exercise the greatness that he's put in you, which
Mm-hmm.
is the same greatness that he has in himself. If you believe that we are made in the image and likeness of God. So those two coupled then leads into the others. You know what I mean? Those who are your friends and your family, you can now see God in them, or at least see their God potential if they don't got no sense yet. But you can see that potential, and you're not so quick to judge our people and cancel this one and throw this one away. You know what I mean? You have a desire and an understanding to be a friend and even a teacher to them after you've been taught. You know what I mean? After you've gotten to know yourself, you want to share with them ways to help them elevate the way you've elevated. And even for the others who are your enemies that you don't have any choice but to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, whether, we're just talking about hypocrites, or uh, those who, you know, may not necessarily be, in the grand scheme of things, meant to be an opposer of God. They might believe a little bit, but they weaken their belief. So they always trying to bring your belief down to where theirs is at. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? You still, there's a relationship that you have to maintain with them as well. It doesn't have to be one of uh, enmity, but you may, you know, just keep it at a distance, but still try to send some positivity their way, still try to be an example for them. And if they reject it to a point that, as you continue to be around people and get to know how people operate, you'll see when it's time to, okay, you could watch me from a distance, but I'm not going to let you drain my energy too much. Then
Mm-hmm.
maintain it like that as well. But I think I'll stop that one right there. I see we already at 20 minutes, dear sister. This close
Already.
this
It's so
closing
much
the
to
gap
talk about.
hour. Yes, ma'am.
It's so much to talk about within this concept. So praise be to Allah. The last thing that you kind of went into about basically dealing with relationships, or yeah, dealing with everyday relationship with people that you just may have to just deal with. Um, I think that is one relationship that, of course, we don't immediately see that as a relationship to deal with because it's not pleasant. It's not something that we want to deal with. So it's not, we don't think of it as far as us having to deal with that everyday relationship. But do you mind just going just a little bit in depth about how do we or how can we handle everyday relationship with those that we may not feel or be in good standings with?
Mm, yes, ma'am. I would say that that's why the relationship with self and God have to be coupled,
Mm-hmm.
and naturally are coupled, because that's the source of strength. You know what I mean? A lot of us, myself included, Um, and I'll really just speak for myself. When when God is not on our mind at the forefront of our thinking
Mm.
and everything that we do, then that mentality that you hear our Christian brothers and sisters say, "What would Jesus do?" That mentality isn't there. You're not thinking of what's the best way for me to respond to this, what's the best way for me to handle this. What's that Messiah mind frame that I should handle it this way, I should do this, I should say this. But that's why in the Quran it says seek assistance through patience and prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Patience, that's a whole nother, that could really be a whole nother hour worth of the podcast, really.
Right.
When you really look at the definition of that word, the etymology definition, to be specific, because the minister teaches us to get to the root of a thing. So I always like to use the etymology definitions because it goes into the root origin of words in the language. But patience, you have to, part of that definition is suffering.
Mm.
So on top of just dealing with a thing calmly, not reacting emotionally and being so quick to fly off the handle, um you know you still, that doesn't mean that you can always get to a point to where something isn't bothering you. Sometimes you still got to sit and suffer. But one thing I could bear witness to is that as you grow stronger in your relationship with God and practice the principles that he desires for us to make a part of ourselves, humility, um and patience. I'll just leave it at those two. A lot of things will be handled for you. I could just say that. And you know that's that other part of the patience that we're most familiar with which is just waiting. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not the full scope of what patience really is. But that waiting part does pay off. You know what I mean? When you do your best to not let something get the best of you, handle it righteously. We're taught not that we're never the aggressor in words, deeds, or actions unless aggressed upon, and then we fight with those who fight with us, but we don't initiate it. You know what I mean? So when you can keep your composure, when you can, like we like to say, kill them with kindness sometimes, you know what I mean? A person, some people aren't always uh ill meaning, you
Mm.
know what I mean, with their intent. They just, we messed up.
Yeah.
We messed up in the head today. So sometimes when you can give the person your best side, even when they're trying to bring out your worst,
Mm.
they'll meet your energy eventually. And if they don't, you know what I mean, then you have to have discernment, which Allah will help you to have if you practice patience and prayer, excuse me, and know how to deal with different people in different situations.
I
I
love.
think I think that's where I end off with that. if that helps.
No, it helped a lot. Praise be to Allah. I love that.
Yes, ma'am.
I kept Sister Marion's post up, and Assalamu alaikum, sis.
My
We miss you.
sister.
We miss you. So she has said spiritual self neglect will manifest in how we treat others. Indeed, gotta say on our post of our deen, connecting daily with Allah through prayer is essential. And I can bear witness to that. And I'm so glad that you kind of brought emphasis to that, Brother Demetrius, because it's that keeping Allah in the forefront of your mind. I think with me, just speaking on self, it's just always going back to what would the minister do? How would he respond? How would he react to it? And sometimes, it may be things that may be kind of more tougher to have to deal with. And that again, that's where that patience come in. That's where that just having faith and letting go and understand that God will handle and handle it for you. So I love that you brought emphasis to that, and just a reminder for all of us to just understand that. And I think also too, with just me coming into Islam and understanding that we all have different flaws and things that we're working on. That's why, in our prayer is we're striving. We are
Mm,
continuously striving into perfection. So not being upset with your brother or sister if they are faulting you or you feel faulted, just having an understanding and knowing that, hey, we are all on this journey together. We got some things that we got to work on. So we can see past the faults sometimes, most of the time, honestly, we can paint a different perspective of it so we can be better to handle the situation, right? So I'm glad
yes,
you brought
ma'am.
that up and we talked about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Praise
Praise be to
God.
Allah.
Yes, yes. Okay, so my next question for you is we let me see. Do I want to ask that question? I guess. Okay. So a sister asked on one of your posts, and maybe you can kind of break it down.
Mm.
She asked, how do we decipher between God and our, she said, in ourself as God, but I want to say the God within us.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I hope that makes sense.
It does. I remember that question. Deciphering between those, because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, uh, and the Minister Farrakhan has taught it and demonstrated it very well. Is the best example of it in our presence, in my humble and honest opinion. That every time you look at the black man and black woman, you're looking at God. And that teaching of the black man, particularly the original man, which is something that doesn't need much arguing today. A lot of that scientific and historical evidence of us as black people being the original people of this planet is not a secret. But the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaching us that we are, that when you look at us, you're looking at God, not just in the essence of, like I mentioned earlier, which is in the Bible, of us being made in the image and likeness of God. But God, when we talk about God, and I just want to make this distinction real quick, because when we say Allah and then we say that that translates to God, it's a little bit deeper than that when you study these teachings, because we know we're speaking to our English speaking family, and we speak English, and we know who God is. When we say God, we're talking about the supreme being, the most high, but deeper than that, Allah, when we say Allah, that's a summation of all of Allah's attributes, all of the attributes of God, the most high, the all-knowing, the wise, the mighty, the beneficent, the merciful, all 99 of his attributes. And when you say God, even though we say that's the translation of Allah, again, it's just so you know who we're talking about. But God, when we say God, that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in this book. I almost forgot to have some show and tell next to me. I like to get visuals, you know what I mean? So he teaches us in that monumental book, Message to the Black Man, that God means force and power. That's a being with force and power.
Mm,
So that's why we say the most high God. We're talking about a living, breathing being that is able to exercise force and power at the highest limit. He's the master of it over all things. So we're taught that Allah, the originator of the heavens and the earth, this form, this human body, this brain that was developed and put in the head of this body, which everything is a duplicate and a replica of, to these computers and all this AI that we think is so advanced and has now surpassed humanity. No,
Mm,
it's a you can only create out of this brain what this brain is able to manifest itself, because you know what I'm saying. How can you say, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but how could you say that something has surpassed the human brain that the human brain made and that is functioning after how the human brain is made to operate? We're not operating at the capacity that AI is operating as, because we're not really operating as human beings just yet,
right.
not the true human beings. You know, we talk about how humans are, I see comments online sometimes, and I'm gonna get back to my point that I was finishing, but I see comments online and people talking and stuff like that about how humans are ruining the planet. We're being polluted, we're polluting things, we're hurting the animals, we're hurting the environment, yada yada. That's not human being behavior. It says in scripture that we've become like the beast. That's where we're at right now.
Yep.
Animalistic behavior, the way we treat each other, the way we treat our home, you know what I mean? Living in filth and not seeing anything wrong with it, acting filthy, not seeing anything wrong with it, not thinking about our decisions, just acting on the physical impulses. You know, we're in the stage of beasts right now. That's what we've been reduced to. This isn't human, this isn't humanity that we're dealing with yet. We're getting back there now by the grace of Allah in stages. But so when we talk about the black man in the essence of, because I don't want to have to keep saying and the black woman, man in the original meaning of that word, like human, talking about man and woman, but the black man being God, um, that's what we mean. That power, that essence of the originator, he made this vessel for him to continue to live on through eternity. That's why God never dies.
Mm.
Um, I think I'll leave that part of the question there, because I'm starting to see myself really wanting to break down the reality of God, which would which would take up the rest of this episode. It's too deep, it's too heavy. It's beautiful though. So again, everybody should, as far as the best and most recommended place to start diving into the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, message to the black man in America, which is on store.finalcall.com. Don't get it from some other weird website that might have tampered with it or something.
Yeah.
Go to the nation's website, store.finalcall.com. But differentiating them, to my sister's question, is uh keeping in mind that, you know, you're not excuse me, maybe I need to stop trying to act like I don't need another sip of water.
Sound like
You're
water.
yes, ma'am. You're not the supreme being. Um, you're not the supreme being, but he has blessed us tremendously out of being a part of his lineage. So we're taught that we're direct descendants of the originator himself. We have the tremendous honor and privilege to exercise these attributes of Allah, but not at the level that he can.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But um, that's that's how we differentiate. Brother Nori, who was another beautiful student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, my brother said in an interview recently about the definition of humility.
Mm.
Um, I forget if he said he got this from the minister or not, but anyway, he said that humility is thinking about yourself less,
Mm.
not thinking less about yourself or less of yourself. So it's more so considering the whole, considering everybody's role in things, and not just making yourself the main character of the movie in your head. you know what I mean? But not diminishing yourself
Mm.
to fit, you know, what somebody else may want you to fit into, you know, and not acting like you're not who you are. You should have confidence as a righteous Muslim. Muslim just meaning one who submits their will to do the will of God. So if you're striving to be righteous, we are Muslims, by the way. I just had to throw that in there because I don't like the religious gang banging.
Yeah.
It's really just out of misunderstanding. But uh that's the type of humility that we have to have with it. And the minister again is the best example that we have of that. If we would truly study him and, you know, observe him, he has much power that he has rightfully earned today for his service and his commitment to God and God's people. But he doesn't use it arrogantly. He doesn't talk crazy to people. You know what I mean? He thinks for the whole and speaks for the whole. So hopefully, as far as differentiating them, you know, God as you being a God, so we're taught with a little g, as the minister would say, not the big G, not the supreme being, but you're a human being, Sister Angelica. Did you you have a child, correct?
Yes.
Is he a human being, or
Yes.
did you give birth to a tiger?
A human
so
being. I don't know
so
if I can handle a tiger. Ooh.
yes, ma'am. So us being children of God, as we would all like to call ourselves, no matter what faith or title we come under, you know, what would God give birth to other than another God?
Mm.
But there's a hierarchy that you do have to understand so we don't get carried away and try to set ourselves up as a God besides God, which he has forbidden us to do, because you don't have that juice.
Mm.
That's not who you are. But you can be a great representation and manifestation of the same power and wisdom that he's put into each of us, you know, but you have to learn how to be submissive to him.
Mm.
Um, that's yes, ma'am.
Wow, I love that. Thanks for breaking that down. Praise be to Allah, God. And if you
Alhamdulillah.
are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please, please, please show your support by texting the word donate to 937-313-2466 today to help sustain future episodes just like this one. Also, if you all are enjoying all of the broadcasts here on CTG Broadcast, we have some new shows on the broadcast. So please show your support as well by donating today. Information to donate will also be on the screen below shortly. I love you all. Now let's get back to today's episode. Everyday relationships, strengthening daily bonds with self, God, and others with my brother Demetrius X. So praise be to Allah. I love it so much. You done already kind of like it's like I said, with this topic alone, it's just so much meat into this. Like we gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to do a part two. But
I'm
I
down.
I know. We listen, we're gonna have to make it happen. So I want to get into my next question here, and I kind of want to just get into I got yeah, we're gonna have to I'm gonna I may go over just a little bit because I have these questions I really want to get out. So when it comes to building everyday relationships, you know, we have our negatives and we have our positives. Sometimes the negatives can overthrow the positives, right? So what are some ways we can handle self-doubt and negative self-talk when trying to learn how to build or strengthen everyday relationships?
Negative self-talk and doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do we deal with those things?
How can we, what are some ways that we can handle it? Like some ways that we can deal with it?
Yes, ma'am. Well, as far as dealing with it, I don't necessarily want to say deal with it. I'll say how we can try to eliminate it.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't want to just deal with it and let it be a part of your life. You have to get rid of that. That restricts us from becoming what Allah is striving uh, to bring out of us, and allow us to be, help us to be. So self doubt, just like your knowledge of self and love for self, goes hand in hand with your knowledge of God and love for God. The doubt that I would say that we have in ourselves is the doubt that we have, that we may not think we have or would like to think we have, but it's the same doubt that we have in the God,
Mm.
because everything that He has the ability to see us through, and difficulties or challenges that He has the ability to help us to overcome, He deposited that in you. So if your relationship with Him is weak, going back to that relationship, then you don't, not only do you not see Him as being able to help you reach this goal that you think is too big for you to accomplish, or overcome this obstacle that you think is too great for you, uh is because not only that you don't see it in Him, but you don't see it in yourself, because you haven't worked on that first relationship that
Mm.
we talked about, which is the relationship with yourself. So we have to practice our different, I won't say practice, you have to discover them first. So again, going into different positions in life fearlessly, you know what I mean? Challenge yourself. I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try to create this. I have this idea. And a lot of the times, which I'm glad this thought just came to my head, because a lot of the times self doubt is really other people's doubt that you're allowing to be cast onto you. So, I have this idea, but I don't know how everybody's gonna react to it, or if they're gonna like it. If I manifest it,
Mm-hmm.
bring it out of your head. And it may not be quick, but do your best to really practice whatever this skill is that you're trying to sharpen, or whatever this goal is you're trying to reach, or whatever this bad habit is that you're trying to stop yourself from doing. You know what I mean? Really bring practices into your life that will allow you to reach that point that you're trying to reach, not worrying about what everybody might think about your initial stages. You know what I mean? Not worrying about even what yourself might think about your initial stages, because, doubt can come from just you not liking how you handled something in the past, or you not liking how something is going currently that you're trying to do. Like, I kind of messed up here. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. No, just, you know what I mean? Part of the patience that Allah ec- uh, that He exercises, the highest level of patience, comes from trillions of years. So we're taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Trillions of years from creating himself, studying himself, creating the creations that we see around us now: sun, moon, stars, ourselves, you know, trillions upon trillions of years. So when we really think about our hundred and some change, if we lucky, if we live our life right, not if we lucky, but if we live our life right, because whatever Allah has planned for us to live, we'll live it, so long as we don't get in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
But that that's the kind of patience that we need to strive to have again, to see not only things that we want to see collectively come, like our own communities and things like that, but just the things that we want to do in our personal lives. You have to be willing to be patient with yourself like that. You know what I mean? And the thing will come so long as you're striving, really striving to put your best foot forward to work towards it, and have faith. You know what I mean? It'll come when it's meant to come, and if it's not meant, then you'll get something else that Allah will make very clear to you is, no, this is what you needed. Not that it won't be hard to recognize. You'll say, oh, okay, yeah, you know best, because I like this right here, and I'll take this over what I thought I was trying to get. Or it may be what you wanted, but even better. Or it may be exactly as you expected, but you have to have faith and you have to be patient, not worry about what other people are thinking, and not be so quick to dismiss yourself when we're all learning.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what I would say. Again, this is all coming from my teacher. So all praise is due to Allah.
Yes, yes, praise be to Allah. And you just kind of touched on just the fact of giving ourselves grace. Allah, He gives us so much grace.
Mm,
And what I realized on my healing journey into forgiveness, Allah is quick to forgive us. If we go and repent, He is quick to forgive us. But one thing we find a hard time is learning to forgive ourselves and learning to forgive others from that point. So, with you speaking on that, it just goes into just giving yourself grace well to understand that at the end of the day, like I said before, we are all striving. So being able to know that, okay, I'm striving every day may not look the same, but if
mhm,
you're taking those small steps each and every day, just striving to go up that ladder each and every day to get rid of the self-doubt, the self-talk, these bad habits, or just to always practice prayer or whatever it is that you want to improve on, just know that each and every day won't be the same. So I love that. Praise be to Allah. So
alhamdulillah.
okay. Sister asked the question. She said, how do we register for Brother Demetrius?
Alhamdulillah. You you go to your Friday study, self-improvement, the basis for community development, wherever your local Muhammad Mosque or study group is in the Nation of Islam. That's where a lot of this also came from. I had to dip into this book a little bit to prepare myself for
Mm,
this interview. Beautiful. These we have 23 study guides now, I believe, on the course self-improvement, the basis for community development, from the minister, and other books as well. It's a lot of things that I'm pulling from, from my study just in this short 3 years from the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
yes, yes.
But
Great.
yeah,
That book is for anyone. You don't have
that's
to
right.
be in a nation. It is a great book for overall self improvement. Like,
Powerful.
best book in the world besides the Quran, because that's the best. But it's the best workbook that you can ever get, honestly. So, praise
Yes,
be
ma'am.
to Allah. We are winding down here, unfortunately,
Wow.
but today's show was absolutely amazing. I did have one more question to ask to end today's show.
Just
Uh,
one more.
just one more question.
Okay.
Just one.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm gonna make sure I keep and save the other questions that I have. So inshallah we can do a part two. You guys want a part two? Put it in a comment box. Say part two now. Part two now, y'all. Okay. So my next question for you is as we're talking about everyday relationships and strengthening them, one thing that you touched on honestly was just making sure, and you didn't say the word, but I thought about always putting things into application, like we say this is what we're going to do. These are things that we can do to strive to
Mm.
strengthen our everyday relationships. But what does actually putting them into application looks like, right? So, do you mind just, um, I will say, give me one from each section before. Let me go back here. I want one application that we can do to strengthen our daily bonds, one application for self, one application for God, and one application for others that we can take home to do today. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There's another word in this title that we have that my sister Angelica helped me to make because you put the word bonds in there, and I loved that. Bonds, in the nation, we say we say our word is our bond. The whole thing, word is bond. That came from our language, and that just kind of became a popular term,
Mm.
in the streets up north. But uh, bond, let me bring it up real quick because I think this is how I could kind of touch this question from what I'm being guided to say. So again, that etymology definition, uh, bond, anything that binds, fastens, or confines. Uh, householder, dweller. What I really would like, if I could find the page number fast enough, is the definition of bond out of our study guides, because that's what I'm really thinking of right now. I think we were in study guide 8
It's,
most recently, when I was, at least when I was in there looking at the glossary. And if you find it, let me know, sister. But a
I'm,
bond, what you got? Oh, I found it. Praise
oh,
be to Allah.
okay.
All right. So it says bond, that which holds together something as an agreement, friendship, etc., that holds individuals together in a group, binding assurance or firm agreement. And in parentheses, my word is bond. So again, um, when we say our word is bond, and I'm gonna touch on that since you mentioned, you know, saying things but not doing them. Based off of that definition, it's a bonding agent.
Hmm.
So it's holding something together. So you're not saying my word is bonded to this. You're saying your word is bond.
Hmm.
So your word is holding you to something else when you say it. So if I say I'm gonna be on the Sister Angelica podcast, you know, that has to, and is your my word isn't bond if it doesn't stick,
Hmm.
because I'm here now, so it held what I said together. You know what I mean? If I say I'm gonna be at a place or I'm gonna do something, so on and so forth. So there was a question in one of our most recent Friday study groups that was posed to us, that was something along the lines of, is there a correlation between bond and constancy, which was another word that was in that glossary that we have in that part. Constancy,
Hmm.
being consistent with something. um and a sister had made me realize the correlation or the connection between those two words, because she was talking about, um because this, just for some context, when I say that the Friday sessions that we have in the Nation of Islam are really therapeutic, is really powerful and beautiful, and a lot of people, our people, need to be exposed to it. But she was sharing how her bond with some of her sisters has been growing stronger because they have been going through this a similar difficulty recently. And so that clicked in my head that that's the connection between bond and constancy, or the what was the word, the correlation between those two is there's a constant there. A constant, when you're doing an experiment, that's something that doesn't change in the experiment. So you could tell what the difference is if you were to change it. So you all, in that sister's example, they all had that same constant. They're all going through this. They can relate to each other better. They have something that's keeping them together now, closer, because they can relate on that thing. You know what I mean? So when you have a bonding agent like glue, if it's not constantly holding together what you put it in between, then that's not really a good bond.
Mm.
It held on to it, kept it together for 5 seconds, but it wasn't constant. It didn't have any constancy. It fell apart. So, you know, I said all that to say, as far as going into that word about strengthening our bonds, because that's how we have to look at it. So then when you apply it to yourself, and for the sake of time, and because I think it would sound better this way, I'm gonna apply that to the relationship with self and God at the same time. Your relationship with yourself and God is strengthened when you're operating in that God self. When you're practicing righteous principles, thinking the way Allah thinks, thinking the way God thinks. Now, He tells us His thoughts are not our thoughts, which they aren't, because we're thinking crazy today. But we can rise into a higher consciousness. You know what I mean? I'm gonna bring it back to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he's the best example that we have of it today, of you aligning your mind with the mind of God. He said at one point, and I'm paraphrasing because I forget the amount of years, but he said that he hasn't had an independent thought, and I believe over 40 something years is what he said. I see all the students in the chat now that I realized I could see the comments. So somebody can correct me on the number if I'm wrong. But he pulls from the mind of God. And it doesn't just happen overnight. It's a lifestyle that you have to live. It's knowledge that you have to feed on. You know what I mean? Information that you have to feed on, that becomes knowledge once you get understanding by the grace of Allah. So that's how that is strengthened. As you strengthen your relationship with yourself by doing right by yourself, which is the only way to strengthen that bond, because only Allah can give us, the one who made this body, who made this mind, only He can give us the regimen to strengthen your bond with, this life and your time, your consciousness in this life. So He tells us how to live, how to think, how to eat. I wish I had How to Eat to Live beside me so I could hold that up for show and tell as well, but get that. um, and then again, the domino effect is, once your relationship with God is right, once your relationship with yourself is right, then you won't be able to really help but to begin to form better relationships with other people, because you know how you're treating yourself, how you're living your life. So you want to be around other people that are like that.
Mm.
Once you're treating yourself a certain way, not only are you going to know the type of treatment you should expect from others, but to what Sister Mariam said in the comments earlier, which I'm glad that she brought up the opposite side of not treating yourself right. If you're not doing certain things for yourself and treating yourself like one of the best things on earth, you know what I mean, to try to nurture the divine in you, then you can't how are you going to expect yourself to treat anybody else? So you might be the reason that some of your relationships aren't going so well. You don't know how to treat somebody else because you haven't worked on that with yourself yet.
Mm.
You can only do that whole fake it till you make it thing, as people like to say, until everybody realizes that you're faking it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's not gonna last but for so long. Like you don't really care. You're not really invested in what we have going on in this business or in this personal relationship, in this marriage. You know what I mean? In the different relationships that we have within the Nation of Islam, whether it just be brother and sister, captain and lieutenant, minister and so, this and so. But you know, it's a domino effect. So that's and really, I'm gonna just say again to go into that book, self improvement, the basis for community development, because it goes so beautifully into how us analyzing ourselves and studying ourselves, and the three steps that are help me out, Sister Angelica. Self analysis. No, wait. Is it self analysis, self correction? Mm, it'll
Don't
come to me.
like don't
What's
just
yeah?
don't.
What's the third one? I need you.
Y'all help us out.
It's
Y'all put
it's
that
all
third.
right. It's all right, brother. If my brother Yusuf see this, he gonna get on me because he say it all the time. But anyway, when you can do that for yourself, not only can you help others to do it for themselves, but you can be more patient with other people, and that allows for you to have a lot less stress in those other relationships, by doing those things to strengthen the relationship with yourself and with God. So you have to live right, eat right, and think right.
Woo! I love that, Brother Demetrius. Thank you so much for that. Praise be to Allah. And I just want to say thank you so much, Brother Demetrius, for joining us today for this well needed topic. Everyday relationships, strengthening daily bonds with self, God, and others. I would also like to thank my amazing audience and Healing Tribe for joining us today. I pray that this episode was informative, valuable, and healing to you all. Also, be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes on any of your favorite podcast station. Closing the Gap broadcast on Facebook, CTG broadcast on YouTube, and Healing with Angelica podcast on Facebook and YouTube to help spread this message of healing to those in need. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey but don't know where to start, Healing with Angelica is here to assist. Get started on your healing journey today by texting the word ready to 937-313-2466. Information will be also shown on your screen below. Also, including the Healing Tribe merch, you guys. I am coming up with new merch, you guys. But in the meantime, this is what we have. We have all colors, we have all sizes, and we have stuff for the summer as well. But here's some of the Healing Tribe merch. So if you are interested, information to purchase that is also on the screen below.
I
Also,
want that blue hoodie.
like the blue one.
Yeah, that hoodie. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that
All
for the
right.
winter.
Yes. Get ready because we it's gonna get there soon. You know, we only get a little bit of summer and then boom, getting ready for the cold weather. So you guys get ready. If you guys would like the merch, you can also text try to 937-313-2466. Also, I have a new ebook that was just released this past, I think like 2 weeks ago. And the new ebook is called Thrive, a guide for young Black women to reconnect with self and God is now available for purchase. So if you guys are interested in getting the book, this book is a great book for like men. You guys can buy it as well for your sisters, for your daughters, for any woman that's in your life. It's a short, quick book that will get into the concepts of what one can do to reconnect with their self and God. So if you're interested in that, please text the word thrive to 937-313-2466. And just a friendly reminder that any purchases that you make with Healing with Angelica will help and sustain and support future episodes. So praise be to Allah. Brother Demetrius, again, thank you so much for joining us today. You brought so much juice. Thank you so much to my audience with you guys' comments and feedback. But before we end today's show, do you have any closing remarks for our audience today?
I just want to thank you as well, dear sister, for having me. I'm a big fan of your platform. As I told you uh, before I even had a working title that I wanted to go with. I appreciate the invite. Um, I'm thankful for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, my spiritual fathers, who ultimately had a hand in the production of this Closing the Gap broadcast as well, put together by our brother. What's our brother's name on the mother channel of this?
Brother James?
Yes, brother James. Yes. So shout out to brother James
That's
and Closing the Gap. Y'all make sure y'all do subscribe. I was surprised to see the amount of subscribers. It's not low on the Healing Angelica podcast. It's not a low amount, but I feel like it should be in the millions. You know
okay.
what I mean? From the believers, and you know what I mean, anybody who can enjoy some real righteous intended content, you know what I mean? Not just for clicks and all that, but this is I think it's earned the right to be called a healing platform, you know what I mean? The energy that comes from this. So just grateful to be here. And again, all praise is due to Allah, leaving everyone as I came before you all with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, dear brother. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much for that beautiful comment. I love you, bro. Thank you
Love you
again.
back.
I'll see you soon. Part two.
Yes, ma'am. Got to.
All
Alhamdulillah.
right, guys. We love you and we leave you all as we came. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, healing, and light.